Hi, Maria.
Hi, so good to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, especially after our very entertaining first introduction yesterday. Thank you for your patience.
Loved it. Loved it.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, Maria and I met last minute yesterday, a little later than we had planned due to all sorts of different reasons. But
Life, right?
right, but luckily we've become fast friends.
I know,
So
right? Love it.
well, for everybody, I'm Katie Castillo-Wilson. I'm the founder and CEO of TapOnIt. And here you have Maria. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Maria Hokanson. I lead marketing for US and Canada at Dairy Queen.
Perfect. Okay, well, I am so excited to talk about all of the things that you have going on. Yesterday was so inspiring, and I'm just really excited about everything you're doing with Dairy Queen. Before we get into all that, I do have to make sure that you know that my very first job was at Dairy Queen.
I love that.
I can make the perfect little
Stop,
curly
drop, and curl.
stop, drop, and
Exactly.
curl. Yes. So Dairy Queen has a very close place to my heart, and I'm sure many other people as well. But tell us about your journey. How did you end up at Dairy Queen? What has that been like so far?
Well, I'm so fortunate. I was 15 and I knew I wanted to go into marketing, and my goal was to be someday at the helm of a marketing team at a brand I loved. And so fast forward, here I am now having a teenager or two in my own house. I'm like, whoa, that was rare that you know what you love.
Right.
Um, my career until DQ, so I should start, I've been at DQ 18 years this week, it will be. And as I like to say, like my career at DQ could vote, like, wow, I don't know how that happened, but I've been so lucky. So pre DQ, I worked in retail marketing. And so at 18 years ago, I had the opportunity to join DQ and was the mall marketing manager. So any DQ, Orange Julius in a mall, I kind of was the national marketing manager for. And what has happened since then has been so wonderful. You work a role and you think, gosh, I've put my stamp on it. I've probably taken it to where I probably need a fresh challenge, and this probably needs fresh perspective.
Sure.
Every time that's happened in my career here, where I've been kind of itchy scratchy for a new opportunity, one has kind of fallen into my lap. And so what I love about it is by switching, I started more in the marketing communication side, moved over to the product side, then was able to weave that together as I moved up. I was able to change, from beverages, which are very female skewing, to, the food side of the business. So while working within the same brand, it was like having a completely different consumer set, but having this completely different opportunity, but knowing where the bathrooms were. So and having those
Yeah.
relationships that are so pivotal to helping move forward initiatives. And so here I find myself working with a team that I absolutely adore, a boss that I think so highly of. And I feel very lucky for the opportunities I've had.
So that's pretty amazing. I love that. So Dairy Queen really works on promoting from within, giving opportunities to the
I
people who.
Yeah, I've certainly had that opportunity, and there's a nice blend within the team, I feel like, of people who have fresh perspective and are coming in, and kind of that legacy kind of understanding of the brand. And I think that's where the magic happens. It's when
Sure.
those two meet and we can all work together to drive it forward.
Well, I mean, Dairy Queen has been around for how
Over
long?
80 years, over
80
80
years.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they are just, America's brand. I mean, they've got a cult following.
Mhm.
I was telling Maria yesterday that my daughter, when I go out of town, punishes me by buying an entire Dairy Queen cake that she then proceeds to eat herself over the next few days. I'm like, if that's the worst thing that you do as a teenager, we're okay here. But I mean, it's one of those things where I grew up going there, with my friends, with my family. And so it's kind of got that special place in your heart. So talk a little bit about, I know that, how many locations do you guys have? Across
7,000 across the globe and a little over 5,000 in US and Canada.
That's amazing. And are they majority corporate owned, franchise owned? How does that work?
So we are predominantly franchisee. We have 2 corporate locations that are located right here near our franchisee support center. We're based out of Minneapolis. And
Okay.
so really we the bulk of our business is franchisee franchisor relationships.
Okay. So, I mean, over 18 years, things have changed a lot when it comes to marketing, communication, even POS systems.
Right.
I can only imagine that working with that many franchisee owners is somewhat like herding cats.
You know, it's beautiful in the scale that you get having all of these franchisees. And the other thing that I think is really powerful about this model and about DQ in particular is one of the big points of difference for our brand, and you touched on it with with what you were talking about with the brand, is the emotional connection we have with our fans. So, you know, it's different. It hits different than a McDonald's or a Wendy's, where
Yeah.
people have this emotional connection, and we talk about it. We call it here a smile and a story. When you say you wear logo wear at the airport, people stop you and tell you their smile and story. And so
Yep.
it was their first job or their daughter loves getting the cakes. And so, you know, I mean, it's kind of magical and special in a, you know, kind of quick turn business like this. And so our franchisees are a big part of having built that because they are in the communities. And
Sure.
many of our franchisees own 1 to 2 locations. So they're rooted in the community. They're known, they're at the games, they're part of that. And that makes it really special. On the flip side, they're all entrepreneurs by heart. And so the challenge is, and the wonderful thing that keeps us employed really, is that we need to galvanize that and find system-wide solutions and really garner that engagement within our franchisee group to support that, whatever the initiative is. And so it is challenging, and it does make, you know, creating change potentially a little slower.
Okay.
But what I found is over my short time here is there's such that passion for the brand that consumers have is tenfold with the people who are a part of the brand. And so everybody's very passionate about driving this brand forward, making DQ as powerful to, you know, for tomorrow's generation as it is for today. So I find that when you're moving things forward, if you get to that commonality, that's really powerful. And
Sure.
although, you know, there's always different perspectives on what will drive the business, you can find those unification moments and really focus on that and create change.
So is there anything, you know, like major that's happened even over the past year or so where you've had to create change across, I mean,
Right.
5,000 locations?
Yes, I think there always is.
I'm
But I
sure.
would say, you know, during the last couple years, it's amazing the dichotomy of how brands were hit during COVID, right? So we were incredibly lucky during COVID, or during the thick of it anyways,
Sure.
of having drive-through and also being a place with our food and treat duality, being a place where people could have a moment of celebration that was pretty
Sure. Some
simplistic.
joy. Yeah.
Right? Exactly. That's what our brand's about, is amplifying joy in the everyday. And so you may have experienced it. You know, there were long lines at our drive-throughs because people were craving that.
Well, and
And
they're
so,
willing to wait for it just because they got you out of the house.
right, exactly. It's like, we're out.
Yeah.
Get in the van, everybody. And so we luckily during that time frame did very well business wise. And so now, but there were a lot of things that it accelerated for us as it did others. And one of the projects that was in flight that we're really leaning into more is the digital prowess. And for us as an organization, because we have that entrepreneurial spirit, you can imagine our register systems. We had everything from, old school to shiny, flashy new, and we're really working to unify and have what we're calling an integrated technology platform. So
Sure.
what that allows us to do is have a full mobile experience. So mobile ordering, loyalty, and then our deals, which are available regardless if you have that technology or not at the store level. And so what helped, I think, during that time frame was our franchisees really became heavier users of digital. And I think that helped propel the like alignment behind how important that is, because they were seeing and feeling that in their lives too, which is really a wonderful thing to help foster change, is they saw that burning platform, if you will, for change. And so now we're at the point where we've had a loyalty program, but we're at the point where next year we're really going to turn on the marketing lights nationally. And it's a great loyalty program. We've been awarded in Newsweek America's Best Loyalty Program list for 2 years now. But I know we're very excited.
Right? That's awesome. Congrats.
It's back to that fan love, right? So now we're going to be able to talk more about it and really provide that experience to the bulk of our fans. So I think that the experience of the last couple of years as a consumer really helped our franchisees understand that opportunity.
Sure. I mean, they got to learn quick, but then also see the long-term benefit of what that,
exactly
first change,
exactly.
What came from that. So, okay. So next year, which is crazy that it's,
I know,
it makes me just go crazy. So next year, you're going to really start to promote loyalty. What are you most excited about when it comes to how you're going to get that word out there and really spread it? Is there any like big campaigns, anything cool you can talk about?
So we're really excited. We're looking at it from a, full 360 approach. And what I'm excited about is really using the full funnel. I'm, getting out there. We are a quick turn industry. So the fast food industry is really about getting that new news out there every month. And so the full funnel is really important to us. And so that will be wonderful. The other thing is we're excited to kind of integrate partnerships. This past year, we've been working with MLB and had a really fun
yes,
partnership
I
with
love
them.
this. Okay, talk about this. This just is so cool.
Yes. So this was a really exciting opportunity for us. We look for partners and partnerships that really have nice concentric circles with our brand. And MLB is just the perfect example of that. Iconic, American kind of Americana.
Yeah, America's pastime.
Exactly. Summer. We know that if you come to our patios on weeknights during the summer, it's filled with, teams, and we're kind of the post-game stop. And so this past year, we tried a lot of things with this partnership, which was really fun. It was an opportunity for us to sink our teeth in. And a couple of the big things that were really powerful for us that are spinning our wheels for next year is we saw the engagement really, our fans and MLB fans really engaged. And when people are engaging on social platforms and others, it's breaking through, right? And it's connecting emotionally. Yeah, exactly. And so that was really powerful. And then the other thing was we used some players in some of our advertising and saw via testing that broke through the clutter differently for us. We also, we're about amplifying joy. So we owned grand slams throughout the season. So every time there was a grand slam, fun fact, there's roughly 5 per week.
Oh.
Who knew? Not me.
No, I would go sports.
Go sports. But we learned to find in partnerships and curate those real connection points. And what I think the team is doing a beautiful job of is, really looking back, learning from that, from what we've been doing and applying that to how can we evolve and adopt, learn, and make sure that we're, taking the good parts and enriching those. And I think, we're kind of, MLB owns Little League. So, thinking about, are there opportunities there? But really, as we look at partnerships, I think that's a huge thing that's evolved over time in marketing is, deepening community connections with other like brands. And I think that MLB for us is certainly that. We've had success in the past with Jurassic World and some of the partnerships there where, it was about bringing in, my generation, bringing our kids and, so finding those like-minded moments and summer blockbusters, that's really powerful and is a way to break through.
Well, yeah, MLB is such a natural fit. I love that. I think it's so cool. Okay. Again, you talked a little bit about the full funnel, right? So top of the funnel, that brand awareness, driving the conversion. Where in all of this does like first party data, zero party data, how does that fit into your plan and how you guys drive decisions?
Yeah. So, we're early on in our journey on this. So with this new register platform that we're getting close to really nice penetration on, we've been building our digital ecosystem very thoughtfully because it's critical. And so what we've been doing is more build mode. And so starting next year is when we're really putting kind of like fuel on the fire there. So what we've done is we've had siloed data. So we have a very strong Blizzard fan club email base. And I think email is, kind of the legacy of anyways, at our brand, first party data or zero party data. And so we're leveraging that. We're leveraging our app users and really trying to make sure that we're learning. And as we're learning, developing and understanding, how the rewards work, what are consumers looking for, responding to, how do we better look at and segment our consumer base. And so we're in the early phases of that, but what we're excited about is we've built the platform now and can really layer into that. And we've got a nice, pretty sizable group of consumers to talk to, and they've been really engaged. And we can, what we love about this space is you can test and learn so quickly. So we're really flexing that muscle, which is, in a brand that was not too many years ago, 100% all in on TV, that's a pretty big shift for us. And so that's been fun to be a part of. And I think a legacy that our team, or fingerprint kind of, if you will, that our team today will leave on the brand, which I think is powerful because it's another way to foster those connections and really learn from your consumers and help understand how you can better connect.
Well, I think that's awesome. Okay, so you mentioned email. Sorry, my dog wants to come to this meeting.
It's so great.
And then he left. I just
so
rude. Sorry. Okay, so TapOnIt, and you and I talked about this a little bit, just so for everyone who does not know, TapOnIt, we are a text message marketing and communications platform. So where MailChimp might be for email, TapOnIt is for text. And, obviously, like I said before, Dairy Queen is close to my heart. The loyalty program totally makes sense. Keeping people engaged, one of the top ways to do that, because we all open our text messages and we all have our phone right here, is definitely via the cell phone number. Where does that fall into your plans and your strategy?
It's so great that you mentioned that, because this year, as we were unifying our data, we added in opt-in for texting. And honestly, we were really surprised the amount of fans that were interested in that. So it's something that we've just started.
Yeah.
But we've been really blown away. We've set KPIs and then we just we're like, whoa, we realize we are not good at setting KPIs on this front because we're just
Well,
learning
it's so
so
unknown.
much.
Yeah.
Right. And we're really creating the benchmarks, right? And so what we're working on now is really looking holistically at our fans and understanding who, what, where, and when, and with what promotion or what communication do we create. And then
Sure.
the other thing that we're doing, it's not only about the data, but it's about the content and making sure that we're producing and teed up to have the right content for the right consumer at the right time, which
Sure.
again, that's a huge shift as well. Thinking, back 10 years where it was, 12 TV spots a year. Now
Right.
it's like a content factory, if you will. And
Which I
we're
love.
I love that too, but that's a
It's a
huge
lot of
shift.
work. Yeah.
And it takes letting go of some of the preciousness that we've built as we look at like our video investment buy. When we're buying for linear or some, a 30 or 15-second spot, we do want those to have a certain production value. But
Of course.
as we're A/B testing and moving lower funnel and being really authentic on TikTok and other channels, we've really, as have other brands, had to let go of that preciousness
Sure.
and gotten more comfortable with kind of on the fly production, which is a big shift for us. So it's about you kind of look at the people, the process, and the technology and how it all works together. And are we making sure that we're driving that strategy so everybody knows what they're working towards? And that's one of the challenges we've been working is we have so many teammates, working on so much. The velocity is huge, making sure that we're all kind of coming from that unified space and strategy is critical.
So I would think, so this is a question, I guess. You talked about the engagement around MLB and that partnership. I mean, by letting people help create the content through things like TikTok and stuff like that, do you guys see a lot more engagement around those things too?
We do. And, our UGC, our user generated content is the stuff of melting hearts. Like we are the home of sticky chins
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what I was just thinking.
oh,
Yeah.
like, and so our UGC is so incredibly powerful. It works really hard for us. And
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, we have fabulous teammates and partners, but
Sure.
the way that people show up and the creative, like our fans and how they talk and how they think about things is just you cannot make that up. And
Well,
it's
and the
yeah,
influence that they actually have, I mean, the expanded reach, the way that things go viral, and I
yes.
mean, yeah, and especially with things like that, immediately I thought of my son with, hot fudge and,
I know.
just a mess. And I mean, those are awesome memories, right? It's a sticky mess at the moment when it takes
Yeah, right.
place,
But then you
but
look
those
back
are
on it
all
so fondly.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
it's
for us, it's been a learning on how do we best maximize that? How do we on the fly use it and
yeah,
create an environment where we can so that, like we've worked through the okay, we've got for something that's going to be a quick turn, less approvals. And how do
yeah,
we do that? And how do we, as we're building our influencer strategy, how do we tap into that feel and that vibe and get the right influencers and at the same time really modernize the look and feel of our brand while
sure.
still being true to the heart of it and what our franchisees know and love too. So it's a really fun and challenging time to work on such an iconic brand for sure.
Yeah. I mean, definitely there's so many things that are just changing all the time. I would imagine that it is a lot to keep up with when it comes to social media, thinking about TikTok, Facebook, I mean, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, whatever, all of the above. Is there anything that you see like the most success fit with? Or are there channels that you guys tend to spend more time on?
You know, it's interesting. Facebook is, what we're noticing is, and I'm sure this isn't a surprise to many, but um, you know, Facebook acts more like a more upper funnel
Yeah.
and gets to the masses, gets to a little bit older demo, you know, following Facebook demo. And
Yeah.
so what we're really focused on as we added TikTok, we're trying to be really wise about what channels we're in and how we support them, is how do we think about social with, we're calling it with a capital S. We've kind of looked at it more siloed, organic and paid, and we're really trying to have the team think more holistically about it. And how do we leverage that? How do we then play in the earned space as well? So
Right.
we did an activation a few weeks ago where it was the launch of our fall blizzard menu, and we did a
Oh, that
giveaway.
pumpkin blizzard.
Yes, right. Pumpkin pie blizzard back.
Uh-huh.
And we did an activation where we did a social sweepstakes for scented pillow flights to help that were inspired by our fall blizzard menu. And
Awesome.
yes, and we really made it social first to drive that engagement. And so we want the earned and the social to kind of feed off each other to really
Sure. Sure.
propel that buzz. And we're
Yeah.
looking at, do we throw paid on certain things, or where do we use the paid? And so it's really interesting how you think of, and it performed extremely well for us. We got national hits on the earned. The engagement was fabulous. Now, what's fun is the winners are receiving the flights. So we're getting a lot of unboxing content that's like a
Oh, cool.
next
I bet.
wave of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's how do you connect all of these different aspects so that you can act, you know, we are minuscule compared to McDonald's, who is our biggest competitor, right? So how do we make ourselves seem and feel bigger? And it's when you can get that integrated push like that. So you're in the news, you're seeing things on social, you're seeing things from your friends that, you know, hey, you know, something's happening in fall at Dairy Queen. That's not what I would expect. And then, you know, making ourselves look bigger by, like this year, our partnership with MLB. So we had
Sure.
a big takeover on our cups and things like that. So it's like, how do we make ourselves look, feel, and act like a bigger brand, and
Yeah.
getting more than our fair share of that buzz than maybe we should.
No, it's well deserved. And, you know, it's funny. I guess I wouldn't have thought of McDonald's as being your top competitor. Do you think that
Yes.
most consumers think about it that way?
You know, it's interesting. So this is one of the biggest challenges of working at DQ, and it's really fun, but it's a challenge. Is we are a food and treat brand, and what's interesting about that is food is our biggest frequency play, because you eat
Okay.
every day, but you don't treat every day, and so
Let's
um,
for my daughter.
yeah, exactly. And that's great. Um, but you know, it's like, how do we live up to both when we have such a heritage in treat? So interestingly enough, we are a leader in chicken strips in the quick service, like fast food industry. And we're number 5 in selling burgers. But you wouldn't,
Really?
yes, but you wouldn't think of us for that. You think of us for the treat. And so
Yeah.
our job, part of what our team works on, is the menu vision and the
Yeah.
menu strategy. Because as one of my teammates says, when you work at a restaurant brand, the menu's like the sun. Everything kind of revolves around it. And I
Sure.
love that. So
Yeah.
with our menu vision, think of other food treat brands. There's Sonic, there's Culver's if you're in the Midwest, Shake
Yeah.
Shack, Freddy's. We're kind of one of, or the biggest national
Sure.
brand like that.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so it's a unique space because a lot of those brands started with both. And so they, and so for us, while we have and sell quite a bit of food, our job is to make sure that we stay the treat leader that we are, but
Yeah.
also build that food frequency and that food love, and
So
really,
how do you do that?
well, you know,
Like what works best in, I mean, because I would guess it's the awareness, making sure everybody knows that you got the food in addition to all the treats,
absolutely.
and
And it
then
comes
turning
down
it
to,
into some sort of a
yeah, it
habit.
comes down to every moment matters. So, think about what's beautiful about a digital experience is when you go on and look at our menu and order digitally, you are forced to look at the menu. Whereas
Yeah,
when you pull up to the drive-through, you might just be thinking, I'm going to get an Oreo Blizzard. So in the consumer journey, it's about how do we message that? How do we talk about food and our build and continue to enhance our food credibility differently than our treats? Our
sure,
treats,
sure.
it's about being innovative and flexing those flavor muscles that we can put out there that others can't, right? Well,
Yeah,
on the food side, it's delivering consistently. It's making sure that we're differentiating in a way that's different. So for us, we have two big food platforms, our chicken strip basket and our burgers, our stack burger line. And so for us, it's about making sure that we're creating that like crave, that reason to come to DQ. So for our chicken
mhm,
strips, it's like having that house-made Hidden Valley Ranch or that hot gravy that you can't get elsewhere, but you can get
right.
DQ. And it's quite honestly, we cut a broad swath. There's a lot of people who use DQ for our treats and
Yeah.
our low frequency, that treat love into food love and doing that consistently over time.
Well, so I'm gonna admit it, the hot dogs are my favorite, and the fact that the
Yes.
buns were always in the steamer are always
Yes.
game
Oh my
changer.
gosh. Isn't that fun?
Seriously.
And
Yes.
it gets back to that nostalgia. I mean, that also is an interesting thing we play with is we want to be of today, but the
Right.
nostalgia is so powerful too. And so
Oh,
how,
for sure.
how do you tap into that, but not appear old? And so
Right. So you
that
have to stay fresh,
yeah,
but
that is a needle we have to think about threading all of the time, which is a blessing. I mean, to have a 80-plus-year-old brand and that people love is so great. But that
yeah.
is something that we have to be really mindful of.
Well, and I love you said a few minutes ago that, you get to try things. And I think because you have an 80-year-old brand that people love, they're loyal to, they trust, they know that it's consistent, you do get to try things, right? And
Exactly.
some of them will be grand slams
Yep.
and and others might not be, but at
Right.
the end of the day, they love you and they're going to keep coming back, which is pretty cool.
Well, and that's part of being in the food industry. One truth of us humans is that we want to try new foods and treats. I mean,
Oh, for
it's
sure.
inherent in what we do. And so that's part of what makes being here so fun is you do have the license and I might say the need to bring out that news to drive people in. So if you put out a limited time offer burger flavor, you'll sell X many of those burger, but what you're doing is selling burgers.
Right,
And so
right.
that's acting as that catalyst. And that makes it fun because then you can have noteworthy flavors or you can have spicy flavors. Like we have this saying
Or
like,
the seasonal stuff. Yeah,
yes,
right,
exactly. Like heat
right.
seekers seek heat. So when we promote flamethrower, we bring in a niche audience who are looking for that moment, right? And
Yeah,
so you can find those kind of broad appealing flavors like on the treat side, the fastballs down the middle are like chocolate and peanut butter, caramel. But you
sure.
have those other flavors that fall in that unique but rare quadrant that have high purchase intent, high uniqueness.
Yeah,
Those are ones like that when we hit those, it's like s'mores blizzard. We worked
yeah,
on
right.
developing, yeah, that took 8 years for us to develop. because we could not get it right. And we were
Really?
not going to bring it out until it was right.
It's so good.
It is
So
so
good.
good. And we kind of we'll have flavors and we'll put them in our freezer for a while, and then we'll bring them back. And it's amazing to watch fans be like, where is s'mores? Where did s'mores go? And it's wonderful because our R&D team, I think we have one of the best R&D teams in the planet. They worked to get that right. There's another flavor like that Nestle Toll House cookie, where people had the concept always performed incredibly high, but what people perceive as a Nestle Toll House cookie differs. And so hitting that exactly right was a challenge. And we did that and sold out like in a hot minute a couple of years ago. So, you know,
cool.
we have this, I mean, that's part of being the treat leader is we can't come out with a s'mores that doesn't deliver on s'mores, right? Like we owe it to our fans.
Well, especially also because people are so engaged and out there on social. I mean, yeah, you don't want to release something that's anything but the best.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. That's so cool. So I think we're probably coming up on time here. Is there anything that I mean, I feel like that MLB partnership is just such a huge win. Is there anything else exciting coming up over the next year? I know you guys have a lot of work around the loyalty.
Right. We are just so excited to start marketing in earnest our loyalty, like the rewards and mobile ordering. I think, you know, as a busy parent, and we are very much a life stage brand. So we appeal to the younger, you know, the kids, obviously.
Of course. Yeah.
And then we kind of see consumers kind of go away during college. They find other ways to treat. And then
I have no idea what that might be.
Right. And then as people start to have their own families, they come back into the brand. And so, you know, for us, we really want to be there so we obviously skew higher with families with kids than your typical brand. And so what we want to do is make a seamless way for fans to experience DQ. So if you're with your kid and it's after the ball game and you want to go to the patio and have a moment and rehash the game with the team or just together, we want to be there for you. But if you are busy and on your way to practice and want to mobile order and not talk to anyone and just have it be a quick, seamless experience to get dinner, we want to be there for you then too. And so I think it's really building the brand to be that full expression of what consumers are looking for, that I'm just really excited. And you see how powerful these loyalty programs are. And we've seen that too, but to be able to talk about it and really ignite it with data, I think is going to really be incredibly powerful.
Oh, I agree. I mean, the fact that now those silos are all coming together and you guys really have the opportunity to learn and then make decisions based on what the data says. I mean, it gives you a ton of opportunity to do new things, try new things, reach new people. I love all the focus around content. I think that sometimes we forget that just having content is selling your brand, right?
Yes.
I mean, because it's that top of mind awareness. I have lots of ideas how we could do that in a text thread. So we're going to talk more later.
Love it.
This was so fun. Thank you, Maria. I'm so glad to have met you. I know that
me too. Thank you so much.
For sure.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you both. I'm now going to get a treat from DQ.
I'm starving. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Maria and Katie.